Well, hello my friends. I'm Chris Biffle, and this is August 14th live webcast. Let's take a look at our subject and just jump right into it. Teaching Challenging Kids 101, oh so simple lesson plans. And folks out there, if you're hearing me and seeing me live, type in a little bit of something and let me know that you're receiving what's going to be some wonderful information. All right, you know who we are, Whole Brain Teaching, one of the world's most popular websites. Mello Bracco, hello back to you. Hi from Alabama. All right, Molly O, I'm ready to go too. Now, Busby Buzzer points out that you can see these webcasts in a library. Sometimes I don't understand how people miss the library, so let's just take a look at the library. The library is right down here. Check it out. It's right here. See? I'm going to start going through the library. See that? There's 35 webcasts after tonight. So you miss one, you get to see it. So let's get to our program for tonight. If you would like to get professional development credit, there are details at the end of the program. If you're interested in certification, I'd like to spend a little bit of time on certification. Sliding my screen up. What is certification? Well, it's a wonderful program. It's online, it's free. You can design your own certification, and you can go all the way from WBT Novice to an international board-certified WBT presenter. Online and free, go at your own pace, and all the details you'll ever need in your life are right here, my friends. Let me just slide up to where they are. Right there, here is our certification document, and right here you can page through it, or up here click on it to download it. Tonight's question for certification is, what are the strengths and weaknesses of the oh-so-simple lesson plans? And I've put a post online on the forum, WBT Certification Webcast Simple Lesson Plans. Put your answer there. We're going to jump right in. JJ Jive, how you doing, JJ? I'm doing good, Coach. How do I make lesson plans for WBT? Well, JJ, I'm going to tell you. Check it out right there. Now, folks, I'm going to show you something you may not believe, but watch me just blow up the screen. Notice that our lesson plan has 3 columns, and there's the same thing in 2 of the columns. So you remind yourself to say class, and then you write in what your first point is, and you remind yourself to clap twice and say teach. Point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. What do we mean by points? Just write down 2 or 3 sentences. As Biffy Bird says, 2 or 3 sentences should be enough for each of your points. Now, I don't know if it could be any simpler than that. The thing is that we have to remember. Let me enlarge my screen again. The thing that we have to remember is we're doing whole brain teaching. We're not doing traditional instruction. What does that mean? It means we speak briefly The longer we talk, the more kids we lose. That's an important point. I'm taking off my glasses for that. We're talkaholics. We're talking too long. And the longer you talk, the wider you open the window for disruptive activity. You're responsible for a lot of the disruption in your class. You're talking more than your kids can process. So, let's look at that simple lesson plan again. All right, now what's the next step? You can even put the lessons in shorthand if you want. You know, teacher shorthand. Let's look at some teacher shorthand here as I magically blow up the screen. So you might start with a noun question. So our question for today is, what is a noun? Our answer is, a noun is a person, place, or thing. Then give an example. Your teacher is a noun because I'm a person. This classroom is a noun because it's a place. Desk is a noun because it's a thing. So you can write in teacher shorthand. Just boom, 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 boom. But again, the 3-column effect is to keep reminding us that we start with class yes and we finish with teach okay. Everybody with me? In fact, you know, my friends, if you're required to make other kind of lesson plans, just in a few minutes, you can sketch this out from your super detailed lesson plans that your principal wants. Just put the stuff in shorthand, just boom, 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 boom. I know you love shorthand. Now, let's talk about annotations. You can add annotations to your lesson plan for the scoreboard, mirror, mirror words, hands, and eyes. Again, let's blow this up. I'm coming in here. Let's look at what we mean by annotations. Notice the first thing is that my scoreboard stuff is coming in here right after I say class. I say class and then I remind myself, oh, give them a frowny. Give them a smiley. Mirror words. Negative. Hands and eyes. And then I can even write out exactly what it is that I'm going to say. Deb Weigel, glad to have you online. So you might say, well, wait a second. Are you saying in advance you're deciding whether it's going to be a smiley or a frowny? In the beginning, yeah, because I'm seeing a lot of teachers who love whole brain teaching, they're not using the scoreboard. I go into a class in the afternoon, they got like 4 marks there. They should have 40 marks by the afternoon. How many times do you need to kind of give your kids a little jolt to wake them up? So initially, just put the scoreboard annotations right into your lesson plan. Figure out where to put mirror words. Maybe you're just going to work on mirror words all day long. Figure out where you're going to put it. Well, that's the annotations. Now, very important point. Notice this new word, BR. BR stands for bridge. And the bridge is very important for beginners. H&E stands for hands and eyes. Now, here's what I mean by bridge. I'll give you a sample lesson. Class, yes. Oh, that's too slow, mighty groan. Oh, that's just right, mighty oh yeah. Oh yeah. Today we're going to ask, what is a noun? That's our question. Now, I want you to turn to your neighbors and ask that question over and over again. That's the bridge. The bridge is where you tell them what you want them to do. You want them to do at least 2 things. Turn to their neighbor and ask the question over and over again. When they're able to do that, then you want them to do a 3rd thing. Everybody's using gestures. Why? If everybody's using gestures, everybody's on task. So the bridge is a key piece that's only about 3 weeks old, maybe a month old. Let's look at it again. Just put in a BR to remind yourself that you need to tell the kids what to do. Deb, you're right. If you don't bridge, they just stare at you. Now, after a while, you don't have to remind the kids so much. But we're talking about just getting started. Here's the next screen. Initially, you have to use a bridge so the kids will know what to do. Turn and repeat over and over. And my friends, if you don't say repeat over and over, this is what you're going to get. Let me show you. You're going to get this, the arms folded, the dreaded arms folded. We don't want arms folded. Why do we want them to repeat? That's the only way we learn is by repeating. How did you learn Spanish? The same way you learn tennis, by repeating, repeating, repeating. Repetition grows dendrites. Dendrites are permanent information. As my friend Jay Vanderfin used to say, practice makes permanent. Could you put that right at the front of your classroom wall? I think you should. Now, as part of the bridge, you can also emphasize using large gestures in a full turn. This has to be frequently repeated. How often do you have to remind people to use large gestures in a full turn? All the time. Your kids will participate with as much energy as you permit. If you permit this much, that's the amount of energy they'll permit. They will use. You see how simple this is? Let's just look at a very simple pattern. Start with a question. You can put the switch in there any place you want, Carol and Alexis. Start with a question, give an answer with a gesture, give some examples, and then do critical thinking. Now, listen, my friends. We have a much more elaborate lesson plan called a 5-step lesson template. There's a webcast on it. This is just a real simple thing. But a good pattern is every lesson starts with a question. I'm taking off my glasses. My friends, I don't think lessons should start with background knowledge. Does that blow your mind? Because some kids have no background knowledge or inaccurate background knowledge. So then you got to stop and sort out the inaccurate from the accurate. And you say, well, what is your background knowledge about genre or apostrophe? Just go right to the question. Can I put my glasses back on? Is that resonating with you? Thank you, my friends. I see some people are agreeing with me. All right, let's look at the screen. Start with your question, then your answer with a gesture, then give some examples, lots of examples, not just one there, and then do some critical thinking. Let's go into this just a little bit further. Notice how simple this lesson plan. You'd give lots more examples in here. Let me just walk you through it. All right, so let's say your question is, what's an adjective? So you say, our question's what's an adjective? They're going to teach each other. Then you say, an adjective changes, modifies a noun. They teach that to each other. Then you say, I like sweet candy. Sweet is an adjective because it changes or modifies the noun candy. Teach your neighbors that. I'm not going to give them 5 examples. One example, teach your neighbor. Second example, teach your neighbor. Third example, teach your neighbor. Then I'm going to say, I have a blank dog. I want you to put in as many adjectives as you can. That's where my critical thinking piece comes in. Even better, watch me. Watch me now. I have a big dog. Big is an adjective because, there's my because clapper, it changes or modifies the dog. So you could have a double sentence frame there. I have a blank dog. Blank is an adjective because blank. Deb Weigel, can you dig that? A double sentence frame with a critical thinking piece as the second sentence, where kids are explaining their reasoning for the first sentence? You're right, Dreadis 23. 7th graders dig it. That's right. Deb Weigel, I'm sure you can dig it. You and I are often on the same wavelength. Let's look at, again, the because clapper. Biffy Bluebird is a little bit behind here. And Biffy, why don't you join the party here? Come on down there. Fill in this sentence frame as many times as you can with your neighbor. Blank is a noun because. Blank is a verb because. Lovely is an adjective because. Now, another annotation. Let's just stop for a second. You notice what I'm doing? I'm starting with the real simple lesson plan, and that's all you need. And then I'm showing you how to add components to it. You add the annotations for the scoreboard. You add the bridge piece. Let's add another piece. It's the PPL piece. Praise, prompt, or leave. Let's look at it. I'm going to blow it up here. Here's the PPL piece right over here. We want you to remember to walk around the classroom and praise your kids or prompt them to get involved and then walk away. This is crucial. Whenever the kids are teaching each other, you're doing a comprehension check. Walk around, listen. Walk around, listen. You're doing assessment every few minutes. You're saying one or two things. Good job with your gestures, or please use gestures, and then you're leaving. Don't stand and argue with the kid. You got 35 kids. Get to as many as you can. Let's enlarge this screen. I'm getting better and better, folks, at enlarging the screen. I just kind of discovered it about half an hour ago. Deb Weigel, you're right. No power struggles. PPL, praise, prompt, and leave, is very important because this is your comprehension check. It's also a great weight loss method because you're walking all day long. I'm going to stop and see if we've got any questions thus far. I'm going to take my 3D mix here and drink to you some Bakersfield Clear. Any questions about our very simple lesson plans that we're just making slightly more detailed with every screen? So let's go back. I think you're just shocked at how simple this is. If a student doesn't want to participate, well, my friends, listen. Student doesn't want to participate. That's our specialty, is kids who don't want to participate. Please look at all the classroom management devices we have. We start with the scoreboard. We add the super improvers wall. Then we add the practice cards. Then we add the guff counter. Then we add the independence. Then we add the bullseye game. It's all online. But initially, don't worry about the kid who doesn't want to participate. You worry about getting your routine down and getting as many people as possible organized and going with the flow. Here's the screen. Start with this lesson plan, then other goodies as you get more WBT fluent. That's really the core of what we're talking about here. Simple lesson plan, add some modules. Now, if you want some blank lesson plans, I mean, this is awfully hard to create. Go to Lesson Design and Delivery, a download under free ebooks at wholebrainteaching.com. Let's look at the website, my friends. And I'm sure many of you know that right up here, we got free ebooks. Click here, get Lesson Design and Delivery. It'll give you more information about lesson plans, lesson design. And if you want something more elaborate, look at the 5-step lesson, which includes assessment, writing, and critical thinking, and it's covered in Webcast 505. Now hold on a second. There's a huge point coming. I'll stop for a second. My friends online, what do you think the huge point is going to be? I'll wait and see. You know, Challenging Students for Teens, we are still working on that download. Here's the huge point. Wait no longer. Practice your lesson plans at home. Write them out and practice them in front of a mirror. Here's what you're going for. If you do enough of this stuff at home, you're going to be WBT fluent. You're going to automatically start with a class yes. You're going to speak briefly. You're going to clap twice and say teach. The beauty is that when your kids are talking to each other, you have time to think about your next point. I do have another big point for you. Let's check it out. Huge point coming. Another huger than huge point. What on earth is he going to say? Use the scoreboard. You want gestures, full turn, and complete engagement. Use the scoreboard. When you do the class yes, when you do the teach okay, you're looking for a certain kind of behavior from your kids. You want the full turn. You don't want them teaching like this. Usually you want big gestures. You're not satisfied with anything less than 100% student engagement, bell-to-bell instruction. Use the scoreboard. Use the scoreboard. How often? 40 marks a day? Deb Weigel, what do you think? Kate Bowski? How many marks a day in 3rd grade there? Nancy Stoltenberg, tell them how many marks a day total in 2nd grade. And these are people who really are pretty good whole brain teachers, and they're still using a lot of marks. How many marks in a period? For kinder, 10 to 15 marks an hour. Over 20 in the AM, then again 20 in the PM. You know what? 15 and 45 minutes is not too many. Here's the thing. Use the scoreboard a lot, and then after a while, kids are so well trained, you'll be having to invent. You know what? You kids are only giving me 99% effort. I'm looking, of course, for 100% mighty grown. That's how things will turn out. Last week, we talked about the forgotten jewel of WBT wisdom. Nervous Nita. Let's just talk about it one more time. It's a beautiful thing. It's early in the school year, that's why we bring it up. At the end of the first week, sit at home and grade each of your students. Each model student give a 4 to. Each student is a go-along. Give them a 3. A fence sitter is a 2, and a challenging student is a 1. Evaluate this based upon how on task they are. Then, add up all the scores and divide by the number of kids. So if you have 70 points and you have 35 kids, your classroom management average is 2.0. They're a bunch of fence sitters. Every week, calculate the average. Your goal is just to raise it by 0.1 a month, which means after 10 months, every kid will improve to whole level. This is really crucial for us because we need to know if we're getting anywhere. Classroom management often improves at a glacial pace. You need to see that you're making weekly progress. Begin by helping your go-alongs to move up to model students and your model students to move up to leaders. Help the easiest kids first. Give every leader a 5. Keep your kids focused in the first week on 2 goals: following directions quickly and improving. All right, my friends, I'll stop for a second. Do we have any questions on this very simple lesson plan? How easy was it? And how easy was it to improve on your lesson plan? If they have more smileys than frownies, then you give them 1 minute extra recess, or 1 problem less on their math homework, or 1 minute more of game time. And, Wilsons, we do emphasize improvement all year long with the Super Improver Wall. Teach math? You're talking too long. Let's just talk about math. You have the problem on the board, explain a little, tell your neighbors to tell your kids, explain that piece, bring them back. Explain another piece, explain that piece, bring them back. Now explain the first 3 pieces. You've got the stuff on the board or on your projector, talk about 1 piece at a time. Chunk it, chunk it, chunk it, spiral, put it all together in little reviews. Yes, I would keep separate scoreboards for every class you teach. Smaller parts are key, that's right. We talk too long. Common Core math. Well, here's the thing. If you're having a hard time with this lesson plan of breaking into small parts, how hard a time are kids having understanding you? If you can't break it into short units and you have to put it all together, the kids may be nodding their heads, but ask them to teach each other what you just said. Listen to me. Listen. I taught philosophy. Here's the big change for me after 25 years. I've been talking about Plato for 25 years. I was pretty good at talking about Plato. I gave a great little lecture on Plato. I asked a kid, say back to me what I just said. She couldn't. So the test of a teaching technique is not, are you on pace and did you cover the material? The test is, can a kid say back to you what you just said? How are they going to do that if you're talking so long? I'll put the glasses back on. What about long novels? Well, lots of things you can do with novels. You can say, well, first we're going to talk about some vocabulary. We're going to talk about denouement. We're going to talk about main characters, protagonists and antagonists. We're going to talk about conflict. We're going to talk about setting. Define each of those and then have kids talk to each other about the setting. What is the author's point? The author's point is blah, 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 because blah, blah, blah. No matter what we teach, we've got to do the same things. Break it into small parts. Get them to teach each other. Teach the core vocabulary. Give examples. Get them to use the because clapper and the problem solver, which is another of our critical thinking techniques. All right, here we are with our dear friend, Ms. Linenthal.
Hiya, Coach.
Hello, Ms. Linenthal. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling great this week, Coach. Gosh, simple lesson plans sound great, but how could I get a professional development credit for this broadcast and a copy of these slides?
Ms. Linenthal, I'm glad you asked that question. This is program 535. So you're going to go to PayPal, and I'll show you how to do it here, my friends. On our website, look, I can even blow up the PayPal box. Check this out. I'm going to make it so that you can't possibly miss it. Coming this way. See, there's PayPal right there. Put in $5.35. And I'll mail you a copy of all these slides. Now let me go back to the slides here. And I'm going to enlarge my screen. And I'm getting pretty good at getting these out fairly rapidly. I'm checking every morning and most evenings. So if you send me some cash via PayPal, I'll get these back to you lickety-split. You'll get this certificate, and it also has another side to it, that certificate. What's for next week? What is for next week? Here's what's for next week. The Writing Game, Part 1. Oh yeah. The Writing Game is our big, giant, teach them how to write from the basics. Now, you may like red-green marker writing. This fits right into this, but this has everything going on in it. From how to use adjectives, to teaching about apostrophes, to getting up to a 5-paragraph college-style essay, from the basics to the most advanced, the Writing Game. We'll teach half of it next week. And of course it's free. My friends, I want to show you the screen. There it is, the Writing Game. What should we do to prepare them until then? What you should do is, my friends, go to wholebrainteaching.com, go to free ebooks, and read the Writing Game. Would that make sense for you to do some homework? It's called the Writing Game. Read it, look it over, so that I can talk to you about it, so that you can have questions for me. Is that too bizarre? Read you? I know, it's weird, isn't it, Julie? All right. Yeah, why would anyone want to read if they're a teacher? So, listen, folks. I love to come out to your school. If you want me to do an on-site presentation, get an administrator to send me an email, chrisbiffle@wholebrainteaching.com. You know, wait a second. We've got a little time tonight. I'm going to show you two really cool things. One I don't think you may have heard of. It's called the Bakersfield Callback. Just invented it recently. Let me take a drink of Bakersfield Clear here. I'd come to Mexico. All right, and let me see. Here's what I want to show you. I'm going to the screen, and dig this, my friends. Here I am on our Facebook page. All you got to do to find our Facebook page is go to Facebook, type in Whole Brain Teaching. Somebody, teach math. It's your chance to put our Facebook link up. Something very cool going on Facebook. Maybe some of you are interested. Check it out. I'm giving little lessons on critical thinking on Facebook. I've given lesson 1 and lesson 2. I've given a definition of critical thinking. I've shown the simplest form of critical thinking, and there's more lessons coming. Every one of them taught by that adorable little Biffy bluebird. So join us on Facebook. Question, answer, question, answer. I'm going to lay it out in just the teeniest little steps. And you know what? You can use these graphics in your class. Wow. All right. I'm loving you guys. Bakersfield Callback. Here's the deal. It's going to sound weird, but once you try it, you'll never go back to ordinary teaching. Deb Weigel, I hope you are listening. This is not as big as Mirror. It's not as big as certainly the Teach OK, which is huge. But it's up there, my friend. Not quite as big as the Because Clapper. Here's how it works. Whenever you ask a question to the class, here's how it normally works. Who wants to go to recess? Everyone says, me. What's the right answer to this problem? Everyone says, 14. Who's the main character of this story? Everyone says, Robin Hood. That is not the Bakersfield callback. Whenever you ask a question to the class as a whole, in chorus, they repeat with a complete sentence, Deb Weigel. So if you say, who wants to go out to recess? They need to say, we want to go out to recess, or I want to go out to recess. Or if you say, who's the main character of this story? They say, Robin Hood is the main character of this story. You see, with the callback, you're giving mass practice in sentence thinking. Do you see that, Pine Triella? Nancy? You're digging it, aren't you? Who's DVA? I don't care about DVA. I want WBT, Deb Weigel. So, mass chorus callback. And tell me this, Deb Weigel. Do I look aggravated, Deb? You know this look. Does DVA use a because clapper? So you could say, who is the main character of this story, and clap your hands. That would mean they'd have to say the main character of the story is Robin Hood because blah, 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 blah. So the simple Bakersfield callback is you ask a question, they repeat in chorus the answer. The critical thinking Bakersfield callback is you ask a question and just clap your hands, and they know they've got to get a because clapper in there. Then you're getting mass sentence level thinking with a critical thinking component. How do you like that, my friend? You see the beauty of that? It's as if you're the tennis coach and you got 35 people lined up there and you say, all right, everybody, do your forehands. So everybody en masse is practicing their forehands. We want mass practice. The other thing is, when kids are used to en masse replying in a complete sentence, it's so much easier when you ask them a question, oh, they know. Yes, I'm supposed to answer all questions in complete sentences. Thank you, Nancy. Well, my friends, Scrap, we're so unhappy that you weren't able to see this. We will say, as we always say, power to the teachers. God bless us all. And my friends, from my heart to your heart, as a dad, my family still is in serious need of prayer. So anything that you can do to pray for my family, I would thank you so much for. See you again next week for the writing game. That's all from me. Oh, wait. Let's let the names of the places fly down the screen. Okay? Names of the places. Where are you from? Let's see it. Oh, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Nebraska, West Virginia, Oregon, Palmdale, Monterey, Mexico, Melo Bracco, Jackson, Michigan. Beautiful thing, my friends. See you next week. You can stay online and chat a little bit, and I may just peek in at your chat. Adios.